Now next thing what we want to do is add these 4 widgets. Also you can see that I have made gradient vertical here, but I like gradient horizontal more, so I am using gradient this way. You can also turn it vertical as well. That is a homework. Okay guys, so make sure that you research how to make this vertically. So now let's add our text widgets and different widgets. So to add a widget, so basically these 4 widgets are within one main widget, which is the column widget, right? So let's add a column widget in the child of this container. So after the comma, after box decoration ends, I will mention the child property and I will give it column. And within column, I will add children. And here you can see that because these are children and not just a child, you will add these square brackets. So here let's add first text. Okay, so we'll see what happens when we add text. And I will say, let's be. Yup. Okay. Now next we will again write some text. And save yourself from awkward situations. Save yourself from. Let me close this Adobe XD window. By the way, I created this mockup in Adobe XD. Figma is also used to create these app mockups, and you can even use Photoshop, but Figma and XD are the two main applications to build these phone mockups. Okay, so let me close this window and I will save the changes that I made. I will close the file and let's start coding on our app again. Close app. And now let's save this. Okay, let's first save this. Here you can see that the entire window shrunk. So why did that happen? This happened because container takes the shape of whatever is inside it. Right now there's only this column and these texts, and these texts are not taking that much space. So that is why it shrunk. To avoid this, you can just wrap your column within a container. So let's use a container. And now you can give the height and weight of the width of the container as size.width. Okay, so what is this size variable? And you can also see that I am getting an error. So this size variable basically helps you get the size of your current application. Let's add this size variable here. Okay guys, so to use this size variable, we have to write in the build function, we want to write final size equals to media query. Okay, let's type it. Query dot of, in the brackets we will use context, and I will explain you what this means in a second. Size and enter a semicolon. So now you can see that this changed. Also, one thing you can do is, let's copy this line and remove this container. Okay, you can replace it with a size box as well, or what you can do is remove this container. You can go to the this bulb and you can just remove this widget, and then in the container, first container itself, add this. Now if I save, you will see that it's working fine. Okay, you can see your text above here. And what happened in this final size is basically media query dot of context. Now context is this context, and as I told you earlier, context helps the Flutter compiler. Okay, a compiler is something that compiles the code and runs it here. So it tells Flutter that this piece of that we want, basically whatever screen we are on, whatever device we are using, it will automatically give the size of that device. Okay, you don't have to manually enter again and again and again. So you can see that your text is coming here, and also this black bar something like is coming where you can see the time and everything, and we don't want that. So to remove that, and because we are not using an app bar, this is coming, right? If we would have just used an app bar, so let's use an app bar quickly. App bar. Okay, let me save it, and now you can see that it's looking much better, but the app bar itself makes the app uglier. So let's remove the app bar, okay, because I don't want the app bar. So to avoid this text going way too above, what we can do is just wrap our scaffold inside a cool widget, which is called safe area. Okay, and now let's save it. and you will see that it's leaving some space right now. So my simulator has some issue with it, and that is why it is showing me this extra space. In yours, it will work fine. Now here you can see that this text is at the start of the screen and we don't want it there. So we want these texts to come here in the center, not right up there. Okay. So to do that, one thing that we can do is you can use main axis alignment and main axis alignment dot center. Now when we save it, you can see that they both came to center. All the elements within the children will come to the center of the screen. Okay. So now let's make our text a bit more presentable. Here you can see that by default, the color of the text is black. Now let's change the color and increase the font size. So I will make it. First, let's complete the text. Save yourself from awkward situations. Okay, and I will save this. And here you can see that this text is way too long. So what I will do is just add a \n. And what this \n does is it shifts the line after it in the next line. Here you can see in the output that awkward situation is now coming in the next line. Okay, so let's make our text a bit more presentable. Let's add a style, and in the text style widget, let's give it a color of colors, and let's give it a size also. So I want to give this a size, font size of, let's give it a size of 60. And here you can see that I'm still getting these, blue lines. So this is because I haven't added the constant keyword here. So let me add that constant keyword as well. So now you can see that let's be is looking a bit better. Let's add font weight. And let's make it font weight dot bold. Okay. And it's looking way nicer now. Now let's do the same for save yourself from awkward situations, but we will make this a bit smaller than the title. Okay. So it's like a subtitle. So let's give it style. Oh, not strut style. We want to give it a style, a normal style. So style and text style. Okay, and within the text style you will add color, colors dot white. Okay, so that also turned white now. Now I want to give some spacing between both of them. I can use padding widget or I can use a size box widget. Let's use both of them. So for padding widget, all you need to do is click on the widget, wrap it with the padding. Okay, and here you can see that by default it's 8. Okay, so let me decrease that value a bit. Let's give it 4 and let's save the file. And you will see that now there is more space between both of them. And as I increase the value, let's give it 8 again. Let me close this. Again, guys, this is happening because I am also recording my screen while running the application. For you, this will not happen again and again. And let me save this. And now you can see that the space increased. Okay. So one way was padding. Now let's remove this padding and let's add a size box. First, let's remove this padding. Okay. And now let's add a size box. So I will first mention constant size box. And here we will give it a height of, let's say 10, and add a comma at the end. And now you can see that the sizing remains same because previously it had some padding. That is why you cannot see the difference. Let me increase the height of the size box. Let's give it 30. Okay, let's save it. And now you can see that the distance between both of them increased. So 10 is fine, I think. And the reason why I'm getting these blue curvy lines is because I have already mentioned constant before these square brackets. And what that basically means is that all the widgets within these square brackets are now constant. There won't be any kind of change of value within them. Okay, so let's save it. And it's looking fine. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to add an image. Okay, so to add an image, you can do two things. First, let's get an image. Okay, let's select this Piss Simulator folder. Let's click here. Okay, click on this screen and add a folder and write the name assets. Now, guys, I had already made an image You can see this image, and what I will do is I will also attach this image for you guys so that you can download it. And all you need to do is just add this image here in the assets folder. Okay, you can use any image. I am using this image. You can use any image. Okay, this is the image right here. And to use this image, all I need to do is use an image widget. So yes, there is literally a widget for everything. And there are two kinds of widgets. One is an asset widget, asset image. Okay, and in the asset image I will write the name, which is funny.png. So I will write it in double quotes, funny.png. And now we will get an error. Let's see what the error is. Okay, let's say, and you can see that the error is image provider.dart. And when you go to the run tab and you expand this window, you can see that unable to load asset funny.png. This is because we haven't added our asset anywhere. And also, how will Flutter know that it is in a folder called assets where our image is located, right? So to do that, we will use this pubspec.yaml file. Okay, open this file. It's actually, the name is complicated, I know, of the file itself. It's actually a really fun file to use, and you will be installing a lot of different packages in this file only. So here, when you come to line 61, you will see that this assets, this thing is highlighted. Now select all of them and just press Ctrl and slash, the same slash that you add for comments. And now you can see that this will unhighlight. Okay, now this assets, make sure that you press a backspace, and this is basically because of indentation. Now what is indentation? I will not go into depth of indentation, but indentation is a concept which we use in Python and in a lot of different languages. Basically here you can also see that within column there is this, within children there is some sort of spacing, right? So this is because to make the code a bit presentable and to tell Flutter compiler and also the coder that all these widgets come under this children tab. And you can see this indentation happening from the beginning only. Okay, so it's not anything new, it's just a new name. So here what you want to do is remove this and just write assets, which was the name of our folder, and press a backslash. Now all the images in this assets folder will be used up and will be recognized by the Flutter itself. Okay, if you have a folder within this assets folder, then you also need to mention that folder as well. Okay, and the moment you press Ctrl S, the Flutter will run flutter pub get, which is basically a command to get all the new packages or everything, a new change that is being made in the pubspec.yaml file. Okay, so let's close this. And here also you need to mention the proper location. Okay, so assets / funny png. Okay, let me save this. And right now you can see that no change is appearing. This is because our app crashed earlier. So we need to do a hot restart. Okay, not a hot reload, a hot restart. By the way, every time you save a file, a hot restart happens automatically. Okay. And now you can see that there is again an error. Now where did this error come? Let's see again. We already added a file, but still we are getting the error. This is because we did not add the indentation properly. Okay, it was just one space. Now after making changes, Ctrl S again. Make sure that you have the spellings correct. It's ASSETS, ASSETS. Okay, here also I have mentioned ASSETS and funny.png, funny.png. You can see that exit code. So pubspec.yaml code has already executed. Let's go to the debug console. Let's save a file again. And let's basically do a hot restart. Okay guys, so now you can see that our image has loaded successfully. The reason why I did not edit this error is because I want you guys to remember that two spaces are always left before you write the assets. Okay, so make sure that you always remember that. Now you can see that even though our image is loaded, it's not presentable. It's taking the whole screen and it's not looking good at all, right? So to make it a bit better, what you can do is wrap image with a sized box itself. So let's wrap it. And here, let's first press enter. And here you can give it a height. Okay, so I will give size dot height divided by let's give 4. Now you can see that I'm getting this error, and this is because I mentioned constant for all of these widgets. But you can see that we are using a variable here, right? So I cannot use this constant here. So let me cut constant. Okay, let's cut this constant keyword. And let's add constant for each and every widget now. Because right now for Flutter, you have to do this if you're using a constant widget. Okay, so now you can see that it's looking better, but it's way too small. So let's decrease the number 3. So by the way, this code means that size.height. This means that from the entire size of the screen, height of the screen, you divide it by 3 and give that the height. Okay, so now let me press save, and it's a bit small. So let's give it 2.7. How's that? Okay, 2, and now it's fine. Okay, now again you can see that both of them do not have enough space. So let's wrap with padding, and let me show you one more thing. So here you can see that edge inserts dot all. Now what this will do is give it padding from all the sides, but we only want the padding from top and bottom because we will be also adding a button, right? So for that you can remove this dot all, and you can write dot only and give it a top, property of top, and you can say 20. Okay, let me close this and let's save. And now you can see that we get padding from the top only. Okay, and let's give it a bit more padding. Let's say I want to give 30. All right, so now finally we want to add a button. Okay, so let's do this. After the padding, let's add a size box. Okay, let's add a size box, and size box is constant height. You can either write directly numbers, or you can also use size.height. Okay, it's up to you. Size.height. So I'm getting an error on size.height because I used the constant keyword. If I remove it, this will be fine. Okay, I can use size.height, and let's divide it by 10. So here I got an invisible size box. After that, I will add a comma. Okay, the commas are important, guys. And basically you can give here an elevated button. Okay, so elevated button is another kind of button. Previously we saw floating action button. Now we will be using elevated button. So write your lambda function here, and within the child, let's give it a text, and let's say that it will take play. Okay, now let's save it. Now here you can see that we got a button, but this button is ugly as hell. So let's improve the color of this button. Okay, within the elevated button, you can just but hover your mouse over the elevated button, and you can see all of these different properties. It has an on pressed, on long pressed, on hover, right? And basically there is a button style. So we will be using that button style to create all the colors and stuff. Okay, so let's add that button style before the child. So let's add first style. So first give a comma, and then elevated button dot, okay, add dot style from. So here you can see that in dot style from, it has primary, on primary, shadow color, all these different properties. So let's use primary, and here this basically takes a color. You can see that for primary this takes a color. Okay, so let's add colors dot orange here. Let's save it. So with the elevated button, you can also give it some sort of elevation so that you get that shadow effect. So let's give it that elevation, comma elevation of, let's give it 5. Now here, see the screen. You will see that the shadow gets darker, right? And this shows basically that the button is a bit lifted. You can use these elevation properties for container and different text also. That is an homework, guys. So try to experiment it, and if you guys don't figure it out, just ask the question below. I will tell you guys, don't worry. Okay, but I want you guys to experiment this on your own as well, and look at this more like a fun experience, not something that you have to study. Okay, so right now we created our UI, and one last thing is that this elevated button has proper borders and we want rounded borders, okay? Because rounded is more modernistic. So let's add those rounded borders here as well. So to do that rounded, what we need to do is use this line of code, okay? And you can remove the new keywords. You can directly use this and you will see that our borders are now rounded. So what this code is basically shape. Within the elevated button.style from, we have a shape property, okay? Within which we can give the rounded rectangular border. And the rounded rectangular border has a property of border radius. And you can do border radius dot circular 30. Now if I decrease this number, let's give it 20, you will see that the circles, the shape changes, right? And I feel that 30 is way better. So in this video, we created our basic UI. In the next video, we will be implementing the logic and adding music to it. We will be adding that P sound so that whenever you want to avoid social interactions, you can just directly go to your washroom and just click on the play button and the P sound will play automatically. It will also run in the background so that you can use any other application as well. So let's see that in the next video.